Hello, my name is Raiko and I'm happy to welcome you to this overview of the computing MSc courses at Leicester, which I'm leading as a course director. Let me tell you about the school and the university, the degrees we offer, and a little bit about the city of Leicester and why I like to live here. If you come to Leicester, you'll be studying at one of the best universities in the country. So we have a reputation both for teaching quality and student experience, but also for excellence in research. And that combination is visible in our staff. So I'm, for example, splitting my time between teaching and research, and many of our staff are both teachers and researchers as well. We are a diverse and friendly school with an international community of students and staff, creating a welcoming and supportive environment for learning and living together. We always look for ways to improve your experience, and we work with students and seek their feedback to make the subject more interesting and engaging and keep it up to date in these rapidly changing times. Many of our students are, of course, coming with some work experience, so they can provide valuable insights as well to the industrial practice, which we are happy to take on board. And apart from engaging with students through teaching and projects, we also have a computing society, which takes care of the social side, a student staff committee that meets about 4 times each year to discuss any issues and questions arising from the everyday teaching, and a personal tutor system where students can meet staff individually or in groups to discuss academic questions or questions of welfare and any sort of other related problems. The school also has 3 dedicated computer labs that run dual Windows and Linux systems, and the 4th one is currently under development, probably ready in September. There are also a range of study spaces and meeting spaces in the library and in the new student union building, which is just across the school, for facilities for clubs and societies, but also food and events. You'll be aware, if you're following recent developments, that generative AI is promising to make experts and specialists more effective, essentially replacing the need for junior development. I deliberately say these are promises, and the verdict, whether these promises are actually true, is still out. So there are studies suggesting that some of this is just perception, but in practice, there is little evidence that generative AI actually increases productivity. But companies are still betting on this, and therefore the recruitment environment for junior development is challenging at the moment. The other trend that is worth noting is that there is an increased demand for specialists, maybe not surprisingly, and in particular in AI and machine learning, including agentic AI, in specialized technical areas like cloud computing and DevOps, cybersecurity, data science and data analytics, but also sort of higher up the value chain of software engineering, like software architecture and analytics, as well as Internet of Things and user interface design and so on. So our MSc courses are designed to help you benefit from these trends. So essentially, we want you to become these experts that can then potentially use generative AI to become more effective and solve these problems. Okay. So another thing to understand is that our MSc courses are not just offering knowledge and skills, but we're trying to instill a mindset that helps you to learn and solve problems by yourself. Yeah. So every student at a certain stage has to learn how to learn things and learn things autonomously. Certainly when you've graduated and when you're actually working in the industry, you won't always have a chance to attend courses to learn something. So sometimes you just have a problem to solve and you need to learn for yourself what is required to solve that problem. Yeah. Another aspect of this is that we also want you to become leaders, not just workers in the industry. That means you need to lead others, you need to be able to get and give feedback, and you need to develop the professional judgment to assess the quality of your own work, but also the work of others. Yeah, so we do that in our MSc courses by a range of different degrees, and they essentially differ in the level of flexibility and in the specialism that they offer. So we have a course in advanced computer science, advanced software engineering is a bit more specialized, and then we have artificial intelligence and cloud computing. And all of these degrees come with an option of a placement in industry. Yeah? So there's always a with industry option with each of these degrees. The overall structure of the course is as follows. We always have 3 terms, and the first 2 terms are taught modules. So 4 modules each term with 15 credits each make for 60 credits per term. So the first term and the second term are covered by these regular taught modules. And the third term is always the individual project, also worth 60 credits. If you do a with industry degree, there is a 9 to 12 months placement after the second term. So you do your project after returning from the industry placement after a year, essentially. So in practice, that means if you start with us in January, then you'll finish your second term in the January of the following year, and then you do your project afterwards, which typically lasts until May. If you start in September, then you'll finish your second term in May, and then you do the project over the summer. So the January start, students take 3 months longer than the September starters because they have a break over the summer, whereas for the September starters, they study more or less continuously from September until September the next year. So all of these, never mind when you start, are full-time campus-based degrees. So you have roughly 40 hours of work each week, including coursework and individual study. And out of these, 20 hours are contact face-to-face sessions, typically on-campus sessions where attendance is required. And we have an attendance monitoring system which checks attendance as well. So you need to be there. You need to prepare to be there essentially for 20 hours a week. So coming to the individual degrees, as I mentioned, advanced computer science is the most general, the most flexible one. So we have about 20 options that you can choose from, and out of these 20 options, you can build your own degree pathway. And finish that with an individual project. The only core module, apart from the project, is one on personal and group skills, which is essentially preparation for the project, to prepare project topic and develop its background. The second degree is advanced software engineering. So this draws from the same overall pool of modules, but it requires you to take certain modules listed here as core modules. So you have to take software measurement and quality assurance, generative development, service-oriented architectures, and again, personal and group skills. And you'll notice that there are no specific technical modules here. We also have technical modules. We have a web development module, or mobile and web development. We have a module on cloud computing and so on. So there are much more technical options. But we also observe that, again, in the age of generative AI, the emphasis shifts from writing code to higher levels of software engineering, like software architecture, requirements engineering, and quality assurance. So this is where the value will be in the future. And some of the coding will potentially be done automatically or be generated. speaking of artificial intelligence, there is also a degree in artificial intelligence, which has modules, a range of modules addressing different aspects and applications of artificial intelligence. The first one is a very general one, which is essentially an overview of security, ethics, and management of AI. So you probably know that generative AI systems are subject to attacks such as prompt injection. People have been building automated cyber attack tools based on coding agents such as Claude Code. But there's also an environmental impact of AI, in particular generative AI, because of the huge amount of energy they take. And there's also a social and economic impact because they have the risk or carry the risk of changing our economy and therefore impacting jobs and economic prosperity in general, both in a positive and negative way, depending on how you are affected, of course. Big data and predictive analysis. So this is This is addressing both classical and neural network-based machine learning techniques and data analytics for large data sets. And then generative development is a module which we also have under the software engineering degree as a core module. And here we encourage you to experiment with generative AI to produce software, to generate code, if you like, but not doing so in this very high level and superficial approach that people sometimes call vibe coding. I'm sure you heard about that, but produce software from UML models using generative AI. Yeah, so making detailed specifications of what the software is supposed to do and then using generative AI to generate the actual implementation. So this is the topic of generative development. AI for space, last but not least, is an application area where we use essentially neural networks, convolutional neural networks, to do satellite image analysis. So extract information from satellite images about wildfires, vegetation growth, droughts, oil spills, flooding, etc., and then use that for environmental purposes or land use analysis and so on. Yeah, and I mentioned personal group skills already, and again, these are just some of the options here. In addition to that, you can again choose a range of modules from the options that we have available. And finally, cloud computing. Also here, of course, you can ask generative AI to help you configure and create a Docker image. But this, in more complex tasks, this cannot replace the human experience in, for example, managing cloud infrastructures of a complex organization with various systems and processes and challenges and maybe economic aspects and conflicting requirements from different departments and different units in the organization. You may have heard reports that recent outages in Amazon Web Services, for example, but also Azure, so Microsoft's cloud platform, are partly due to their efforts of replacing experts with AI. I mean, these are not confirmed because these are basically commercial secrets of these companies, but this is quite credible because generative AI is clearly not reliable enough for business critical work. So imagine if a success rate of generative AI of solving a critical problem of 9 out of 10, let's say. So you ask a difficult question and 9 out of 10 times you get the right answer. But if 1 out of 10 cases go wrong, such errors are very hard to spot because the answers that you get are often very convincing and look look very good, so it's hard to spot the actual errors. So if you miss just a small number of them, for large organizations, this can have very difficult and expensive consequences. Yeah, so expertise in this area is important and is still very much in demand. So specifically in this case, we have modules on internet and cloud computing that are core modules, mobile and web applications I mentioned earlier, service-oriented architectures is one that I am teaching myself. So this is about software architecture and design. And again, personal and group skills plus your own project, of course. Okay, so these are the different degrees that are on offer. Coming back to the research link that I mentioned earlier, so I said that most of our staff are researchers as well as teachers, and our research, of course, informs our teaching. So the content of our modules, the course design overall as well, and it allows us to also keep ahead of a discipline that is evolving all the time, and allows us to have the critical judgment to distinguish sort of short-lived trends from lasting changes that we need to address in our modules. You'll have an opportunity to see our research in our modules. So we like to talk about the research that we do and explain what that is about. And we like to involve students in our research because, for example, when we supervise the MSc projects, the individual projects, they will often be on research topics that students can then develop by themselves. Just to give you one example, a personal example, if I may be so bold. So this is a paper here which came out of an MSc project that I supervised together with a student last year, and this is published at the conference this year, and I'm on my way essentially to the conference to present that paper by the end of this week. Yeah, so this has actually resulted in a publication, but for the student. So now that I've told you about our degrees, you're probably eager to join us. So some information on how to do that and what are the entry requirements. So the first 2 points here are rather standard. So 2.21 honors degree or equivalent, at least from a degree with a substantial computing element. And we have further requirements, of course, for English language qualifications. Maybe what is worth noting is that if you don't have a background in computing necessarily, or your degree is a little bit older, we expect a professional CV, and if you can demonstrate that you've been working in the industry for some time and have used software development and programming and system analysis skills in your industrial experience, we will also consider that and happily accept you on our degree, even if your original qualification was not in computer science or is a little bit older. If you don't have the computing background in your degree, but you also don't have the work experience, but you still like to do data science or computing related subjects, let me just refer you to our conversion degrees. So these are open to students from all backgrounds, and there are 2 of them at the moment. Data science is one, and there is a variant of that which is called computational health data science that combines data science with applications in healthcare, and also some computing modules. Yeah? So that would be an option for anyone who is interested in both computing and data science with that application domain in mind. I promised to tell you a little bit about Leicester. So Leicester is a great city to live in. I've been here for about 20 years now, and I still enjoy learning about the different cultures and histories here. of the people. I think it's fair to say I have friends and colleagues from all 5 continents in the world except Antarctica. I think for the Indian students, it's interesting to hear that I've been told that we have the biggest Diwali celebrations and the best dosas outside of India here in Leicester. Yeah, so you feel at home, at least in some respects, even if in other aspects, of course, for example, in the weather, it may be quite a different experience. So finally, if this is for you, then you're very welcome to join us too, and become the best version of yourself that you can be. As I said, become an expert, a problem solver, an independent worker and learner, a leader, and a good colleague. And if you have any questions, get in touch. So there's contact information here. And obviously for detailed module information, all the modules, both the core modules and the option modules, are listed on our web pages, so you can find that information there. Okay, thank you very much, and hope to see you soon.